Welcome back, folks, as we are jumping back on into the Telia Esport Series Finland Grand Finals. I'm still Nyyrikki Serial, still joined by Rail, and we're tied 1-1, which, after game one, Rail, I don't think either of us expected to be saying.
Not so much, no. But there was some adjustments, some changes, what came through. It seems like both teams are really going to be favoring that red side in this game. And especially when you're seeing counter picks like the Tryndamere come through and actually paying off in nullifying this Gwen. And it paid off. It really did. The Ziggs as well. That bait on the bot lane kind of denying Aurelia any chance to really get any solo kills into the Ziggs. Didn't pay off. The gamble didn't pay off in the bot lane. Playing Aurelia bot lane didn't pay off. Gonna see more changes again and again. This is the beauty of a best of five. We're gonna see a lot more changes come through. Counterpick's probably gonna be top lane again, so we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, we've been saying that a few times, the beauty of a best of series, the adaptations that we can see. I feel like, thankfully, though, for DeftFox, if you're a DeftFox fan, you don't really have to worry about the Tryndamere here for game three because DeftFox are the ones over on red side, so it's unlikely that we'll be seeing that Tryndamere again, even if it is unbanned, right?
Probably not. And we're probably not gonna see Trundle or Zinzao again by the looks of things because Zen was banned that game.
Mm.
So we wasn't forced into Zen Trundle matchup. And I feel like we're gonna see a change again because if it worked for Nyyrikki, they're not going to want to play Zen again. They're not going to want to play the Zen Trundle matchup again and just keep themselves at this level where they can say, okay, we can play Lee Sin into this Ivern and it will pay off. They forced Dragane onto Ezreal because they wanted to play that Aurelia to counter the Ziggs. Didn't pay off either. So, got to see what other indications we can see during the draft.
And the weird thing as well for the game two picks and bans was the fact that it was DeftFox that banned away the Trundle, despite Taiki being the one who we were expecting to play the Trundle this series, and he did play it in game one. And the side of Nyyrikki banning away their own Xin Zhao, despite it being Flipper, who is so well known for his Xin Zhao here in Finland.
Yeah. Um, Mainly because, again, I feel like we're going to repeat this, but you don't want to be playing that Trundle Zinzao matchup, especially when
Yeah.
Taiki is that good at Trundle. Played pretty much a perfect game in game one. You don't want to try test that because you got out jungled, unfortunately. There's no easy way to put it. Flipper got out jungled in game one. And mainly due to the laners as well, because Taiki kind of got set up for success by snowballing that top lane. Top lane is still just going to be that snowbally matchup. We're going to have probably the counter pick top side. Might see Riven again, might be banned in second rotation. Probably should see a lot more top lane focused bans in second rotation this time instead of supports. So I'm curious to really what the bot lane is going to draft actually, because we went from seeing Jinx Rakan, Aphelios Morgana, to
Yeah.
then Ziggs Leona, um, Aurelia Alistair. So we really
Yeah.
seen a different dynamic of bot lane in both games, from hyper carries to then APC versus a bruiser.
There's been a lot of evolution in the bottom lane over the opening two games, and that's pretty much as much evolution as you can expect to see, ever hope for over two games. But I actually want to talk about the top lane matchup, because in game one, Weka absolutely dismantled Petoska, and in game two, it was Petoska's game, and I'm interested to see how this top lane matchup narrative is going to essentially, what kind of story it's going to tell over 5 games. Is it going to be Weka's series? Is it going to be Petoska's series? Or is it just going to go down to whoever gets that counter pick?
Going to have to see because, I mean, DeftFox being red side gives them the counter pick to either throw mid or top. Get rid of Dragoni's LeBlanc. You said it after game one, we're not seeing LeBlanc again, and it's seeming like we might end up looking that way.
Xin Zhao banned away from Taiki again. So this time, despite Nyyrikki being over on blue side, they still ban away the Xin Zhao. Maybe Nyyrikki just know, look, if we leave the Xin Zhao up, we're probably going to end up picking it, even though we don't want to. So let's just ban it, so we can't just, panic and lock it in. The Akali banned away. Viego is first picked up by Nyyrikki, but the Gwen is open, and the Sowing Mistress is locked in.
Yeah, and there's something else we walked over, really, because they purposely banned Akali last.
Yes.
What this does, it says you take Gwen, I take Viego. I take Viego, you take Gwen. Like we're just gonna swap. We're literally going to swap. Whichever one you pick, I pick the other one. And on top of that, they get their hands on Thresh. This opens up that scenario saying we can go Thresh Aphelios now. What is going to be your answer?
Now, Azita and Abagnale, they have played the Aphelios Nautilus combination before. At the moment, they're looking towards the the Varus. The Nautilus already locked in, and the Varus is taken. Surely, for DeftFox, they lock in Aphelios here.
When you muddled up that name, I was trying to think what other champions begin with V. I was like Varus, Victor, Viego. Imagine we have all them on the team and you try to call a team fight. The difficulty will be difficult.
Could you actually? You could actually have a decent team with all of those 3 champions in it as well.
Not too bad, no.
Oh, Vi.
Yeah, there's another one. Talking of bad though, we mentioned about Tyke's Trundle. He's playing it again. He's got his hands on it. I mean, the question is what's going to be your answer? Because it's going to be quite a difficult one to match. You can throw the Viego jungle. That's not the worst. But you do have the open opportunity to throw Viego mid and top.
No, you say the Viego can be thrown jungle. But let's not forget that Trundle could go mid. It could also go top. There is so much flexibility to this Trundle pick.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. And people will sleep on the flexibility of Trundle. Ever since Divine Sundra changed, Trundle loves Sheen. Give him a tanky Sheen item, which is Divine Sundra, he's happy. And this is probably why he's really, really strong right now and kind of slept on by a few teams. Some teams just don't want to play him, I'll be honest. Some teams just don't want to play Trundle. Still just don't like playing him that much. There was that one season where Trundle was kind of king. So, no more of that. Also going to limit the AD carry options here, while side DeftFox are limiting that top lane champion pool. Get rid of Fiora, get rid of Tryndamere. Could mean that Gwen is going to end up in that top lane again.
And with that Aphelios Thresh duo open, with the Jinx Thresh duo open...
Not open.
Oh, well, it was, and now it's been taken away. The Ashe picked up to pair with the Thresh. I was going to say, could we be seeing something like a Riven, but the Gwen has already been taken up. And the question becomes, Nyyrikki, where do you want to put that Viego? Do you try to put it in the jungle? Do you take it top lane into the Gwen? And with that Jax being hovered, it's looking like it will be the Viego in the jungle.
Or mid. Still is the potential for mid. Jax is considered one of the best counters into the Gwen. Again, another scary auto attacker for you to deal with.
Yeah.
Has a very short cooldown on his jump as well, able to dodge out a lot of the abilities. And even when Gwen wants to go fully aggressive and commit the ult, Jax would jump away. He'll say, no, don't want any of that smoke, going to jump away. And then I'm going to re-engage. And there it is. Viego going mid. Diana jungle. Yep. Pretty much should be guaranteed here. There's no reason why they should throw the Diana mid. I feel like the Viego mid is just going to fit better with the Diana jungle. And it's going to help you even more with pushing these side lanes. Talking of which, top lane, we're going to get that skill matchup again. Riven versus Jax. Another very snowbally skill matchup. This is the problem with these bruisers. There's so many of them that can flip either side off one kill. And this is one of them.
I think, your sentence was good. You should have just ended earlier. That's the problem with bruisers. There's too many of them, We've got too many bruisers. And somehow DeftFox, they managed to find a way to get that Gwen versus Viego matchup regardless. The Trundle is going to the jungle. It's where we see him more. Yes, we have seen Trundle a little bit in the solo lanes, but his home still exists. Right there in the jungle. We'll see where he does look to gank. Let's talk about this matchup then. Trundle into Diana.
Honestly, I don't have too much on this one. It's one which hasn't really been played or hasn't really been done much because not too long ago, Diana wasn't even a jungler. And when she was, it was like a random thing you'd see in solo queue every now and then. It would just be a Diana main playing jungle because they got off role or their second role. So it's not really a matchup which is commonly seen. Diana does have a lot of burst damage to come through, but Trundle can sustain that. He's going to be able to take the fight. He's going to be able to take these extended trades. Diana being a burst champion is really going to influence both top and mid here. Going to see a lot of focus from both junglers towards that top mid side because, again, just snowballing matchups. One gets ahead. Even the Gwen Viega matchup is very, very similar to top. One kill will swing that matchup. So far, even though Wazen won last game, Dragane has been playing better during the laning phase. And there's not much argument for that. He has been the one CSing better and controlling the wave better, and kind of been forcing Wazen a little bit off. So I'd like to see Flipper put a little bit more pressure on Dragane, trying to push him back, trying to help Wazen out a little bit more, because we did see a good performance from Wazen when he got out of laning phase.
I mean, Wazen did end up going, what was it, 6-0 at one point on the Silas, maybe even made it to 8-0, but he was able to, you know, pick up those kills that ended up falling his way. Yes, he played well, I won't take that away from him. But it was, as you mentioned, you know, Dragane has played better in lane in both games. Wazen just happened to pick up the kills in game 2 and then was able to snowball that on the Silas. Now he's not playing Silas. It's the first time in the series that he is off the Silas, and we'll see what he can pull off on the Viega. We haven't, though, talked about this bottom lane matchup. Azita Abignale on the Varus, Nautilus, Namex Hop-Up Jr. on the Ashe and the Thresh. This is the first time we've seen Hop-Up Jr. on the Thresh this series. Is a pick that he's well known for. And when we see good Threshes, they're usually quite pleasant to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thresh is just one of them champions. If played correctly, there's no limits on what he can do. He can do absolutely anything for your team. And a mobile AD carry like Ashe is going to be able to shepherd around to safety by the Lantern, by the Thresh. But, sorry, earlier in this season, Abignale on the Nautilus was undefeated for quite a few games.
Yeah.
Every time he got the Nautilus, he had these heat-seeking hooks. I am not memeing. These hooks would fly past supports, fly past tanks, fly past junglers, and find the AD carry. It was actually ridiculous. This man is very, very good at finding his target. So it's going to be interesting to see how this bot lane matchup is going to pan out. They both have setup. That's the very curious thing. They both have setup to make this work for the jungler. But then you got to worry about the top mid matchup. So it's so difficult to where you're actually going to path here as a jungler this game.
Well, we'll see where the junglers do look to path as we jump on into game, our third game of our Telia Esports Series Finland Grand Finals. The score tied 1 game apiece. And Abignale on that Nautilus. You said he's got those heat-seeking missiles of hooks. He's already stepping forward, looking for those invades, looking to get his Q finger warmed up.
Yeah, call this man Chiellini, because if you're running away, he is going to yoink you to your death. Definitely going to be watching bot lane a lot. Now, the top lane matchup is very, very scary. Jax has a corrupting pot. Going to be a bit more safer during trades with that, so he's going to be able to sustain a little bit more. But Riven's able to knock you up and sort of just get back out. Looking at which Wazen's getting choked down early. That's really going to help Dragane and the late invade coming through.
This is a late invade in the half. Wazen down to practically half HP. As Petoska is going to be able to pick up 10 gold from the ward. I'm sure he'll be happy for that. And Taiki takes a 10 back himself with the sweepers. Blue buff has been started. Dragane is here. Uses the skip and splash to get over the blue buff wall. And all hell will break loose. The blue buff has been picked up by Taiki. Flipper being engaged on. He smites for health, but it does not matter. Dragane picks up first blood, and Petoska is chunked out to oblivion.
Want to say red side buff? Anyone? Anyone red side buff? It seems like whoever's playing red side seems to come out on top of the first kill. I mean, it's a blue buff, but red side draft seems to just come out on top again. Late invade, very smart decision. You have pressed the attack on Trundle. You're able to chunk people with just them 3 autos and the bite on top to give you more AD. We've seen the damage already on Wazen. Wazen got chunked to half before that play even happened. And now this is just kind of nullified mid lane because Dragane got the kill.
Yeah, and what's Wazen going to do? He's already so low against Dragane. But I really want to focus on this jungle matchup because Flipper is at a huge deficit already, being unable to pick up that blue buff. Taiki is going to be able to effectively get a triple buff, and Taiki's already parting down, looking for the wolves, and is he looking to catch out Flipper when he makes his way over?
Could even look for that dive mid lane. It's looking like he's moving towards it.
He is indeed waiting for that wave to crash in. Flipper is down at his Krug so far, and look who's looking to join the play. It's Weka. Ways and where you going? The Pillar of Ice buys time. Flash away. Taiki takes 1, 2, 3 tower shots, but that is all Dragane. Oh my god, he survives on a sliver of health. The DeftFox couldn't have played it any cleaner than that. As in the bot lane, we have aggression coming through. That's going to be the death sentence landing onto Abagnale. Do DeftFox want to take more? And the answer is yes. The Frost Shot doing its work, slowing down Abagnale, but Hop Hop Jr. will not have another death sentence that he can fire out yet.
Yeah, the dive was played pretty well by the side of DeftFox. I don't think there's much else you could have done there as Wazen. You tried your best to juke back towards the tower, which is the smart decision there. You flash over that wall, you're still going to die. So you tried juking back towards the tower, got Trundle low, even got Dragane low. Not much else he could have done.
Now Podolska going in on to Weka. Weka still has a flash to counter-strike, flashes out of the CC. Weka, does he want to look to turn it around? Both the top lane is taking that Conqueror, and it has stacked up as Dragane looks in towards Wazen. Taiki's there as well, so Wazen is forced just to run out to safety.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of pressure on Wazen this game, just from Taiki alone. Taiki moving towards top lane, trying to put his pressure on this Jack. No counter-strike.
No counter-strike available, and there is a frozen domain. Taiki will run at Podolska. He can't leap out to safety. He will just get run down. Does leap out. Weka looking to go in under tower. Picks it up with a broken blade. Podolska will find one back under tower. And I don't really know if that one was worth it for Weka.
That one's completely fine, but we'll touch upon that in a minute. This is what happened earlier in the game, which kind of just set Taiki up for success. This a late invade. This is so important. Catching Wazen here, that's a lot of damage. The PTA comes through, the extra attack, because PTA makes it so you do more damage once you procced it. It just means that they have all the pressure to go for this play, remove the ward with a sweeper, and even though Jax gets this stun in here, even though he gets that in, Wazen's out the fight already. Dragana is there just to back up everything, and there was no other way this was going other than the way of DeftFox.
And this is why you 5-point start, kids.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Taiki would have been spotted out, but as it is, DeftFox find themselves at nearly 2,000 gold ahead, and Dragane 45 CS to Wazen's 28. It's a large lead in the mid lane.
Right, so let me give you some info why that was worth it on that top side real fast.
Okay.
Mainly because how much CS Podolska lost in trade. He was already down on CS, so him dying there made him lose even more CS. They both had TP, so it wasn't like Jax could TP back to fix the wave and catch up with CS, because Riven could just TP back as well. But in fact, Jax TP'd and Riven didn't. And Riven is still up on CS 50 to 26. Pickaxe to Sheen and Longsword is going to be very difficult for Podolska to find his way back in yet. He's going to want to scale a little bit before he wants any more action in that top side.
Azita and Abagnale, you can see them making the decision. Do they want to step up to that wave? Abagnale knows something's up, and he's going to sacrifice his life just to spot out Taiki. Flashes over the wall, but that is a flash down for the Nyyrikki support.
Better that than losing his life, for sure. Protecting his Varus, Azita gets to keep both his summoners at the cost of his support. But now look at that bot wave. That isn't fun. When Ash Fresh sets up the wave like this, there's really not a lot you can do. You have to claw back at CS, try to fire out arrows, but can't get up enough. They don't know that Abagnale is not there, but this is all they have to do. This is all they have to do. You can't step up at any point. They're just saying, you want to pressure? We'll fight you.
And Azita, the only way he can farm is with a piercing arrow. He missed the first one onto a minion. Second one, though, he will be able to snipe down the cannon minion with. While all of that was going on, Taiki picked up the first Drake of the game, an Ocean Drake. And, well, we'll have to see what rift we're blessed with. It won't be a Mountain Soul. It will either be the Infernal or the Cloud Soul.
Yeah, we see Taiki path towards that top side again. Diana is level 6 now. Diana can look for more pressure on this map. There is some good wards actually. What's spotted out Taiki, pink ward just there, the one on the right near the Raptors. Spotted him out going towards that red buff, and he actually didn't clear it. It is being pinged out, so he should be clearing it now. But they have info on what Taiki wants to do. They know he's towards his mid side, and about to know he's going towards the top side.
In fairness to Flipper, despite what was, you know, a pretty bad start to the game, he's now finding himself 10 CS up on Taiki, so I think Flipper can call this a successful early game as Taiki's looking towards the mid lane. Wazen is low, Abagnale is here. This is going to be a 3v3, make it a 4v3. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will come through, but it won't do much more than that. Dragani will be the focus. Crescent Strike picks up the kill, and it's a double kill for the Nyyrikki jungler.
And just when you mention about Flipper strikes, they look for the play onto the mid lane onto Wazen. Wazen buys time for Flipper to come back. And the damage from the Moonfall is so much. People forget how much damage comes out from this thing. And it just pretty much bought time for the rest of the team to get around here, but it's not over.
There's more action coming in. The Pillar of Ice is dropped. Dredgedown will take Abagnale out to safety, while the Rift Herald has been started and has been secured by Nyyrikki. Flipper, the member of Nyyrikki that we were somewhat critiquing during Game 1, saying that Taiki had his number. Taiki was able to out-jungle him. But in Game 2, that wasn't the case, and in Game 3, that is most certainly not the case for Flipper.
Yeah, Flipper buying his case, showing his case, and pretty much fighting at the same point. Found his way back into the game after a very rough start, like you mentioned, and it's up on CS now. Diana is one of the best farming junglers right now. She can farm really fast. She can do 2 camps at once and still be healthy. It is pretty disgusting, I won't lie. I'm very surprised she's going to avoid nerfs to jungle, but maybe they want to see Diana at Worlds.
Well, Abagnale wants to show himself mid, but he did get spotted out by that red trinket ward on the Raptors. And as a result, DeftFox and know what's up. We're going to just farming for now. We have our next Drake up in 2 minutes' time as Hop Up Jr. is sitting outside of vision, has not been spotted. We'll see whether he can land one of those heat-seeking death sentences onto Wazen.
Yeah, Wazen been playing quite safe. Also been using that stealth whenever he can. Slowly catch up on the CS as well. Did pick up that Executioner's Calling on one of his early bases as well, so he can actually trade somewhat okay. But he's pretty much just going to wait for teammates before he ever looks to fight in that mid lane.
Over the course of this series, I feel like it's got more and more measured. Game 1 was an absolute bloodbath in the first 10 minutes. Game 2 had its fair share of action. You know, we saw how far ahead Wazen Silas was able to get. And now Game 3, you know, this feels sensible. This feels good and solid from both the teams. Yes, there is a slight advantage in gold overall towards DeftFox, but it's felt decent.
It has indeed been decent. Jax has been doing okay in this top matchup as well. It's still 1-1. Is it kind of expected to be down on CS, especially early into Riven? Riven having the Iron Spike whip, able to pretty much just guarantee her to win trades.
Wazen just gets off a short trade onto Dragani before shoving in his mid wave. On the top side, as you mentioned, Petoska down about 25 at CS, but is expected to be down. We know how much of a monster the Jax can be a late game. And Game 1, Weka beat Petoska in the top lane matchup. Game 2, it went Petoska's way on the Tryndamere. And Game 3 is going Weka's way, but we'll have to see how it does evolve over the next 10 or so minutes.
Yeah, this game's still 3-3. Gold 400 to DeftFox, so it's really nothing as of yet. They're all grouping around here. They find Abagnale, but I mean, what else are you going to find? You find a hook, that's it. It's going to be contesting on this dragon. Wazen's already here. Gwen's trying to find a way in. TP from Riven.
TP does come through. That's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. He's going to log it down, Abagnale. And that will be DeftFox finding the kill, but it is a huge Moonfall coming in for Nyyrikki. And they turn the fight like crazy, picking up 2 kills off at the back end. Sure, Flipper does fall in. It is a 2-for-2 overall. Weka showing his base as the Blade of the Exile is used. The ultimate is now down. Nyyrikki will be able to pick up the Mountain Drake in peace.
That moonfall from Flipper was massive. Hitting multiple members, pretty much chunking them out, getting them low enough for Nyyrikki to push back DeftFox. And this game still at a stalemate. In fact, 1 dragon apiece, 5 kills of 5. We get a replay. They're the ones what take the action first. DeftFox pull the trigger, find Abagnale. Abagnale doesn't have a chance. Moonfall hitting 3 members, and then they have to exhaust the Diana.
Yeah. But it's too late by then. The Moonfall's already come through.
It is indeed too late, and they're going to herald mid lane. They're going to throw more gold towards Wazen.
Well, it worked for Nyyrikki in game 2. Getting Wazen ahead on the Silas. We'll see if it works for Nyyrikki in game 3. And whether he can get far enough ahead on this Viego. 5 kills to 5. The gold for all purposes, even.
Yeah, can we actually look at the gold real fast? I want to see where the gold is being thrown. So far, Riven has most of the gold lead for the top side, whereas Diana has the gold lead in the jungle. So other than that, across the board, it's fairly even.
The question becomes, you know, this side of the map has a slight advantage relative to this side, and so far it's Weka just being a little bit ahead as Pedoska gets in a rather neat trade onto Weka. He does have that Divine Sunderer completed. I always forget if it's Divine Sunder or Divine Sunderer.
Divine Sunderer.
Divine Sunderer. I never play any champions that actually build it. That's the issue for me.
Quite a disgusting champion for melees, especially. Still has a lot of damage to get enough for melees, and goodbye,
Abagnale. He's going to flash over the wall, flash towards Azita. Enchanted Crystal Arrow would have sniped him down, but he died beforehand anyway. And it is a kill towards DeftFox. The Lantern takes Taiki out to safety, and Azita, he's going to approach the tower. He's got Wazen just shadowing him. He will be spotted out by a control ward, and it will force DeftFox just to back away.
And that's the thing with this Viego. You can use the mist to get back to mid lane real fast. We see Dragane forced the ultimate in the mid lane, but it doesn't mean anything. No kills is going to come across from it.
And we've got our first items actually coming in the bottom lane. Immortal Shield Bow for Namix. Eclipse coming in for Azita. I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting that to be the pickup as Pedoska. Ooh, gets taken down very low by the Blade of the Exile from Riven.
You do have that percent health damage with the Eclipse. That might be the only reason I'd think it would come through. Don't find a pillar on the Wazen. Wazen's fine to get away there. Weka is very healthy. Tusker doesn't take the risk.
And for these two teams that made it into the Telia Masters, as I was just wondering whether Weka would look for a cheeky engage, but in fact he actually went back to his wave. I don't know how I missed that. But both of these teams, they made Telia Masters in spring. It went far better for Nyyrikki, who were able to make it into the semi-finals where they took a loss to Bifrost. And the kind of question that I've had coming into this summer split after Nyyrikki did drop 3 games in regular season, is it DeftFox who have really picked up, you know, their form, really started playing a lot better than what they did in spring, or is it Nyyrikki who just look worse than what they did in spring?
Well, the thing is, I think it's a bit of both.
Right.
Obviously, the DeftFox is a complete different roster of what they had. So they completely revamped, brought in new players, and it's working for them. They took a little bit to gel. That's fine. Losing games early is better than losing them late. You can learn from your mistakes there.
Yeah.
Kind of same for Nyyrikki this time around. I'm actually glad they didn't go undefeated this time. Because this time, going into Telia Masters, they can actually learn from what they did wrong. They can learn from how they took their losses and use that to progress forward as a team.
And it's always scary, you know, no matter where you see that, whether it's, you know, you see a team like G2 dominating in the LEC, you always have question marks. As Abagnale might be having a question mark. He tries to dredge line out to safety, but he only hits the pillar of ice. He will fall. Taiki takes the lantern out to safety. Flipper going in, but he's exhausted. He doesn't have the damage. The hook will be able to find his mark onto Wazen, and Wazen will fall. DeftFox take 4 kills for nothing.
fall for nothing, and they're gonna take this mid tower down as well, opening up this map even more. And the game just got flipped on a switch, just like that. They've been using every single arrow every time, and just using them for constant picks. This Ashe has definitely had its value already.
And we haven't been able to see that chain of corruption from Azita really having that same impact. And that's, you know, that's the beauty of the Ashe. You can fire out hawk shots, you can find so much vision, and you can just consistently find enchanted crystal arrows. If they land, it's huge. Raisin teleporting in. Taiki is here, Pillar of Ice. Well, by a bit of space for Namex, as the Infernal Drake has been started, the third Drake of the game. Nyyrikki want to contest, and that's Weka coming in for the flank, but he's just going to get hooked up, and now he's playing 1v3. He's able to take the Lantern out to safety as the Drake hasn't been secured, but he's going to buy some time for Weka. He slowed flashes over the wall and out. No kills for Nyyrikki, and just the Drake for DeftFox.
Yeah, they get no trade back. They tried looking for a kill. They tried looking for Weka, but they get absolutely nothing in return. They will lose the mid tower, and they're going to try escorting for a second.
Raisin with a flank. Weka looking to have a short trade. Looks like he's got the blast cone, and he will take it right at the last second, almost getting locked down. As that's a good death sentence coming on in, but will it be any more than that? As the Riven just gets absolutely slaughtered. Moonfall comes in onto 2, but it isn't just 2. The tower still stands, and the tower still does damage. Needlework, huge for Dragane, as Abagnale will fall as well. Petoska with nowhere to go. DeftFox find 4 more kills, and it is a 4-for-1 for DeftFox.
Not the scenario they expected. Nyyrikki looking towards pressure in that mid lane. It looked good for them when they picked up Weka. It looked really good. It looked like they could go for more, but Flipper got taken very low, very fast. So we see the play. They look for this Herald charge. They get it. Look at this hook, man. You said when about good freshes, the hook lands, sends Flipper into stasis. You lose Weka, but it's absolutely fine. You trade for Flipper, and then you're able to go front to back. Ashe was still DPSing, slowing, so Dragane can just keep chasing, and it's just clean up crew at this point.
Namex burns a flash at the end because Petoska leaps in, but aside from that, the only reason he was down in health was because he took that damage from minions. That was it. He didn't get touched aside from that.
Yeah, and it's about to get worse. Has Phantom Dancer, has Stopwatch. He's going to build Ginsu's.
Ooh.
Haven't seen that one for a while. And generally, like you said, has been safe. Has been untouched. Has made a lot of value out of these arrows. Ashe, in total in this game, has had so much value.
Weka surely gets out with the Lantern. It's going to be dropped. There's no ward to put down. And Weka is out to safety.
That's a feels bad for them.
For DeftFox now, they're 5k gold up. What was a very close game up until about 12, maybe 15 minutes. It's starting to go the way of DeftFox as Petoska gets caught out. Tower will fall, and Petoska using the subjugate to run out to safety. Abagnale and Azita are here. That depth charge can be such a huge engage for Nyyrikki, especially when they have a numbers advantage.
And Jax losing his ultimate.
Well, the double hook comes in, Crescent Strike, but the exhaust is there straight away onto Flipper. The Hop-Up Jr. separated from his team. He's going to fall. Meanwhile, Petoska trying to find something onto Dragane. Nyyrikki find 1, and Nyyrikki will find 2 as well. The shutdown being picked up by Petoska. DeftFox just get that little bit too aggressive.
A little bit too aggressive, and they're going to look towards this Baron. They have a lot of Baron damage with Diana, Wazen, and Jax. Diego has a lot of Baron damage on top of that. They have so many auto attackers.
Okay, Weka making his way over. He's got the Blade of the XR. Namex is just going to consistently put out volleys. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands onto Petoska. The health bars are so low for Nyyrikki. Petoska is so low, and Taiki's going to be able to find the kill. Namex is just untouched, and he shreds through the team. DeftFox find 3. It's a triple kill for Namex in a 3v5 scenario. DeftFox find the kills. DeftFox find the Baron.
I think we can write a book about Namex's Ashe and say how much value it had in this game. Because the list keeps going on and on and on. The volley after volley after volley, getting people low on the Baron. So here's what we see. They try to find a way in. They know there's no vision because Trundle just swept. So Ashe can keep throwing arrow after arrow. She threw the crystal arrow. Jax has no way to it. Jax has to flash away. Still
Yep.
untouched. Free hitting. Free hitting. No one's actually touching Ashe whatsoever. Frontline's just buying time for her, and the damage is being put out.
If it wasn't for Waiton's Ash right now, Nyyrikki would be, I feel, pretty even with DeftFox. But as the case is, they're 10,000 goal behind. And this does not feel like a game where Nyyrikki are 10,000 goal behind. It feels like it should be much closer than that. But Namex has stepped up to the plate massively.
Oh, for sure. After last game, having a little bit of a blunder on Aurelia. It's unfortunate. Like, it was a hard game for him to play the Aurelia well there.
Well, that's just going to be the needlework. Dropping out the third charge almost ticks down onto Waze, and subjugate still ticking. But the burn, not quite enough. DeftFox just winning everywhere on the map. Talked about that Aurelia for Namex. I'd just like to say, Namex is an ADC. He's not an Aurelia player, right? He's like,
Hey,
just put him on an ADC.
I mean, he did have prestige earlier. Come on.
I
In
mean,
equal skill, we know this, right?
we're on tournament realm. Everyone can get it. As Flipper thinks that he can get onto Namex. He cannot. The Zonya's his job. Flipper will fall. The Lantern takes Namex out to safety. Dragane is still alive. Wazen is not. Neither is Petoska. DeftFox find 4 more. This time it's a triple kill for Taiki. The teleport into the bot lane. And this might be the final hurrah for Nyyrikki in game 3.
Red side buff. Question mark? Red side buff?
Red side and buff indeed. They have the purple buff as well. DeftFox step forward, and this game has been all Namex. What a fantastic performance from him on the Ashe.
Not only that as well, Hop Jr. had a really good performance on this Fresh. We can see why it's such a priority between both supports in this game. And this is the thing. You have an immobile AD carry like Ashe. Fresh just provides that safety. Keeps shepherding around with that Lantern, like we said. Did it in that last fight. Pulled her away from Wazen. Said, no, get off my AD carry. Every time just brought to the fight or taken away from the fight. Was given that safety with that Fresh. And it just showed from the game throughout. The arrows constantly hitting. I mean, just so much went right for the bot lane of DeftFox.
That exhaust.
Imagine if Hop didn't have exhaust in this game. And look, the Lantern again. Did Wazen put the ward down into the bush? That's unfortunate. It doesn't put it down on the Lantern. Ashe, again, just free hitting. People find a way to her. She has shield bow. She's still fine. She's not in a position where she'd be killed. And Waker getting his Riven again is always a scary thing.
Yeah. For Nyyrikki, I think the Riven wasn't as big of a factor as it was in game 1. It was just Namex stepped up to the plate. You know, Dragane had an okay game. Weka had an okay game. Taiki had a decent game. I feel like Flipper out-jungled him in that particular game. But it was just all Namex, right?
Let's not forget the late invade.
Yes.
That set the stage for the game. That really, really did. It put the top lane behind, it put mid lane behind, and gave more favor to Dragane and Waker to pretty much have whatever pressure they wanted. And because that Taiki was allowed to path however he wanted, even though he got down on CS, even though it looked like Flipper had a better game, that late invade, that call to make that was huge.
A huge performance from DeftFox. And with that, they are up to match point. They lead Nyyrikki 2-1. We're going to be jumping on into a short break, and we will be back momentarily with our 4th and potentially final game of the afternoon. Stay tuned.